Mr. Pop. Dark.
When the little birds are nesting, and I listen to them coo, there's two lonesome people in the whole wide world. That's me and the man in the moon.
Kraken, welcome. Anti-Markovnian, welcome.
All right.
All right, so I think we're ready.
Yep.
Well, everybody, welcome to the stream. Welcome to Misconnect Gamers Radio, a podcast exploring Fantasy Flight Games' Arkham Horror the card game. I'm Dane.
I'm Dan.
And I'm Ben.
And today we're going to be casting off into the new player cards in the Innsmouth Conspiracy. So it's finally here. So we're going to be taking a stroll through each class's player cards. So if anybody hasn't picked it up and maybe is looking for not spoilers, then come back. We'll have this up on YouTube at a certain point, but it'll also be available as a podcast. But it's been a long time coming, so we're gonna skip directly into Fishtown.
I would like to provide an additional spoiler. If there's anyone listening or watching this who is not interested in any cards that involve bless or curse tokens, you can probably just go right ahead and tune this one out, because I think almost all of these cards are very blessy and cursy. So we're gonna break that down for everybody.
Very true. Very true.
Does every single card have a bless or curse?
I think
there's ones that are.
There's very few that don't. It's pretty.
I think there are
progressive.
maybe 2 or 3.
Yeah, there's.
I don't know.
I'm very concerned with something that Dane said. Casting a line. Do you think there's going to be some type of fishing scenario? We just fish, because that's always the worst part of any video game.
I'm more worried that Dane pre-prepared a million fishing puns for this for some reason, and I'm ready to jump out my window if it looks like that's the direction this is going. So, without delaying anymore, let's just jump right in and start talking about the Guardian cards first. So, oh yeah, man, you remember Ridiculous Fishing? That was a great game. That was a super good game. So the first card is a Guardian card. It's an asset. It's called Book of Psalms. Ben may not be familiar with how to pronounce that word, but that's how you do it. So it costs 3. It has a willpower icon on it. It's an item, tome, and blessed. And it has uses for secrets, action, spend 1 secret, heal 1 horror from an investigator at your location, add 2 bless tokens to the cast bag, and it takes up a hand slot. Cool. What do you guys think about this particular tome that we're looking at?
So I guess, we mentioned blessed and cursed tokens being most of these cards, right? So one thing that I wanted to kind of mention here was that I was very surprised at the amount of blessed / curse tokens that go into the bag for any card. So please forgive me if I'm like, and it adds X number of tokens to the chaos bag, and like it's a revelation for me, because some other games maybe wouldn't be as balanced as I guess I think of it as like as well, maybe, I don't know, because it feels like 2 is just the right number for this card, and I'm going to say that for a couple other cards down the line, but adding 2 blessed tokens to the chaos bag seems pretty great for 1 action, but also healing a horror is kind of good. I think that it would have to go for like a specific investigator who could use it either as a free action, i.e. like Daisy, but she can't take it unless she's in parallel mode, I think. Or, I mean, who I was thinking for this is Carolyn, who enjoys healing horror. She gets benefited from it. She gets money. She gets additional great things from it.
So if you just need to heal horror, then you can compare this to like level 0 liquid courage, and it's more expensive, but it doesn't involve doing it.
Even just first aid in Guardian.
Yeah, exactly. Like there are other cards that if all you care about is healing horror, there are other cards that do roughly the same thing without taking up a hand slot or slightly more efficiently. So I think you have to be interested in the bless tokens. I guess we're gonna have to have a conversation sooner or later about like how to think about bless and curse tokens if you're trying to like make a really good deck and how to play. So far, I mean, so I've played the first 2 scenarios of Innsmouth with people using bless and curse cards, and I was joking that it kind of feels like it makes you think really hard about like, oh, is the math more complicated? Do I need to like commit more? Do I need to like alter what I'm going to do? And you think about it for a while, and then you say, oh no, it actually doesn't matter. And I kind of feel like if you're playing a deck that's trying to like load the bag full of blessed tokens in order to pass tests, I'm not convinced that is good. But if you're trying to trigger effects on things that like are benefit you if you draw a blessed token, then maybe this is actually pretty powerful.
Yeah. I think for both blessed and cursed, it's going to be all about what cards you can trigger off of their effects. Like if you're like, we'll see cards that are like, oh, draw 5 tokens, and if one's blessed, then something good happens, or the reverse, if one's cursed, something bad happens, or something good happens. So
yeah,
but like the tokens by themselves didn't seem like they do that much. They might help you pass like one extra test over the course of the scenario, or fail one extra test maybe.
We were joking with Ben and our friend Colin when we were playing Innsmouth. So many times I or somebody else would draw like bless 0 on like a test that I didn't even really particularly care about passing. It's like confirmation bias or whatever. Like you notice when that happens, but even still, I really felt like that happens a lot. So yeah. I mean, I think what I think is let's kind of reserve judgment on this and let's see what other cards there are that might make you want to have blessed tokens in the bag. If you don't have any of those cards, you probably have better options than this.
Yeah. The gist of this card is if you're doing stuff with blessed tokens, probably pretty all right.
Yeah.
Because it heals 4 and adds bless. But if you're not doing anything with bless, then I think there's better stuff like first aid. First aid's even cheaper to play than this, right?
Because there's not too many characters that could use this that just like have an open hand slot that they don't have anything else they want to put in it. You know, like a hand slot is pretty precious. The fact that it uses secrets is interesting because there are ways to refresh that, but not super important, I guess.
Dane brought up a good point about like Carolyn. Maybe she can get 2 horror heal out of it and throw blessed tokens in, but she's got lots of other stuff that probably don't take over hand slots. So
she has a lot of options.
I think in terms of like blessed tokens, like cards that provide blessed tokens and cards that pay off, we're going to be really paying attention to how those work in tandem with each other, because when it comes down to it, it's just kind of like the raw value in blessed tokens is really, it comes down, they're only as good as the payoff gets, right? Like if you draw it during a test, great. If it makes you pass the test, great, but I wouldn't count on it myself. I wouldn't be like, oh, I feel safe because I just threw 4 chaos tokens into the bag, or 4 blessed tokens rather into the bag.
Yeah,
and now I can take this test at 0.
It's going to be hard to load up the bag to the point where you feel like the blessed tokens are going to help you, because the more that are in there, the more likely you are to draw them and remove them for useless tests where you don't need them. So So let's move on and let's talk about, because we're going to see other cards that are definitely payoffs for blessed tokens, including this one.
The card we previewed.
Do you want to read it maybe, or?
Sorry, it took a second to come on the screen. Blessed Blade. So we previewed this one a little while ago. It's a 3-cost asset. It's a weapon, melee and blessed. If it's ready, you can fight with it. You get +1 combat for the attack, and then if you draw blessed or elder sign during the attack, it gets +1 damage. And then before revealing chaos tokens for this attack, you can exhaust it to add a blessed token to the chaos bag. Important to note that it is you may do this to add a blessed token. So you don't always have to exhaust it. You can just kind of swing. If you've already got like a critical mass of blessed tokens in the bag, then you can just swing with it and not exhaust it. But
I feel like my opinion on this hasn't changed since we previewed it. It seems like it's like a okay off weapon. You can use it to do like 1 damage and also add a blessed token. But you really want to be using stuff that consistently does 2 damage. Because even if you've loaded the bag up with like 10 blessed tokens and the Elder Sign, that's still only like a 50% chance that you actually get the +1 damage.
Yeah, I mean, even this is, we said it was sort of a payoff for blessed tokens, but even more than that, it's kind of a way to add blessed tokens, so we're kind of still waiting on what is like an actual really good payoff for having blessed tokens.
Yeah, I think the place where blessed tokens or blessed cards that provide blessed tokens and cards that pay off blessed tokens, they're probably going to be designed in separate cards, because one that tries to do both might just be too like kind of jack of all tradesy to work. It won't provide the critical mass of blessed tokens that it needs to be valuable, like as value as you need it to be, and then it also won't give you the payoff that's as grand or as worth it as it needs to be.
Yeah,
So.
and there probably are decks you can build, like a Diana deck with Seal of the Seventh Sign and like some other main weapon, and this is kind of like your backup weapon. Like you could probably come up with a deck where this is okay, but I think it would need to be, you'd need to really be shooting for a specific thing.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm hoping that we see like an upgraded version of it that does, kind of cooler things. I was kind of hoping that it would. I know some other cards let you draw a few, and then if you get one out of those, you would be able to do it. But I feel like it'd be really hard to make this work. Like the +1 damage almost feels like Zoe's Elder Sign, where it basically will never happen when you want it to.
I'd be really happy if there were like a level 3 or 4 version that just always gave you the +1 damage, and then the bless bonus was something additional, because like Time Worn Brand is level 5 neutral. Like there could be a blue level 3 or 4 card that was like similar,
Sure, yeah. That's a cool idea.
Yeah. Let's move on though, unless anyone has anything else to say about this. Nope. All right,
we're good on the Blessed Blade.
All right, the next card is Rite of Sanctification. It is a cost 0 asset, level 0. I think all the cards are level 0 in this expansion. So it's got 1 intellect icon. It's a ritual and blessed. Seal up to 5 blessed tokens. If Rite of Sanctification has no token sealed on it, discard it. Reaction: when an investigator location plays a card, exhaust Rite of Sanctification and release a chaos token sealed on it. Reduce the cost of that card by 2. It takes up the arcane slot. So
it's not a hand slot.
Yeah, it's not. In Guardian, like most Guardians aren't using their arcane slots for much right now. I think MJ mentioned that we'll see a lot more not mystic arcane slots in this expansion. So
yeah,
might be some competition.
Also worth mentioning, I think Mateo can play this, right?
Mateo can play all the cards that we.
So he can put it in his seal everything deck. I guess sealing blessed token doesn't really help him though with that, but. This card seems pretty alright. If you have a way to seal blessed tokens, then this can help your team for the cost of basically 1 action. Save about 10 money, which is pretty good.
It's a little bit awkward because you have to exhaust it, so total the group gets to use this once per round. But it is potentially a lot of money considering this is free and it takes up a slot that you may not really need. I think especially like if you're playing a deck that is already playing sort of like efficient, low cost ways to like incidentally add blessed tokens, like if you're playing Sister Mary basically, then this is maybe a very cheap way to make cards cheaper for everybody. It could be pretty cool.
Yeah, so I've seen people go both ways about this. Be really, really excited, it's absolutely broken, etc. And people say like this is really bad. And I'm somewhere in the middle. I have yet to see. I haven't seen it in action yet. I feel like we don't have like that critical mass of cards from Innsmouth that like really provide a good amount of chaos tokens as of yet. I think one specifically that I'm very okay with the cost versus the reward for, which we'll get to later. But I think that like this card, for me, just my initial impression of it, I was thinking about like, so ideally you want the discounts early, right? You want them turn 1. So what is a way that you play this, get 5 chaos tokens in the bag, and then immediately start helping your friends with it? And obviously that's the optimal place to get it. But and your friends and yourself are going to be playing cards throughout the whole game, hopefully. So you're going to need this. So rather than looking at it as something that is incredibly good for setup, I kind of wanted to more think of it as something that might benefit play styles. One example might be the dreaded Dark Horse build that Dan loves so much, because it does give like you're putting cards in your deck that you can't pay for without this sometimes, and that might not be the direction to go with it. But if you're playing things like Lucky or like Water Protection that you need up for Dark Horse, you might want to play this with it.
I started to read chat and I zoned out for a second on you, Dane, and then I came back and you were talking about Dark Horse. And I was very confused. It's because you want to have no money and be able to play stuff for free. I kind of get that. But yeah, I don't know. Colin started playing this in our Innsmouth run as Sister Mary, and he played it, and it seemed like it helped him save him some money. Unfortunately, he was playing with me as Dexter and Dan as Amanda, and both of us are extremely rich, so we didn't really need need it. But on a poorer team, that definitely helps.
Yeah.
I think it's also we often found that we were like, he would play it and then he had other cards that depended on bless tokens, so we were like, quickly use it up even if you don't need the money, just to get the bless tokens back in the bag. So I don't know. I think Dane did make a good point though, which is that, you know, money cards are best if you can play them on like turn 0 usually, just because you need to. That's maybe when you're setting up. So
if you're trying to get
good.
If you're trying to get assets down, if you're playing like a more event focused deck, where you're going to be, you know, more steadily spending money over the course of the game, then I think this would be better for that.
Sure, but I mean, like, you know, compared to some other card like Stand Together that just gives you and other people money immediately, like this helps people that are going to play events throughout the game, but probably not everybody in your group is like that, right? So it makes it a little bit worse than it otherwise seems, is all I'm saying.
Yeah. Though somebody in chat, Sultry Harlot, has a really good point, and we'll definitely get to this point. I want to revisit this as we revisit that card Tides of Fate later. But it's kind of a cool combo that I think is worth mentioning later. But as far as this card goes, I mean, it has the numbers, right? It's 0 to play. If it were any more than that, I would say, if it took up like a hand slot or like an accessory slot or something, I might be less up on it. But
it'd be like unplayable, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But this has the numbers to deliver and be a good payoff.
As I said, it could potentially save you 10 money if you have a way to get blessed tokens in the bag without spending a bunch of actions.
I would.
If you're spending actions to put the blessed tokens in the bag, then
I would say that 3 cards in, this is definitely the most playable blessed card we've seen so far. But let's
agree with that.
Let's move on to the 4th blessed card that we're going to look at. So we have Hand of Fate, which is a 3-cost Guardian event with a willpower icon and a combat icon. It's a spell and it's blessed. It says, fast, play when an enemy attacks an investigator at your location. Cancel that attack, then add blessed tokens to the chaos bag equal to the attacking enemy's total combined damage and horror values. So
a lot of people were saying this is great versus the big bad enemy in Dunwich.
So it is. I mean, it is basically. It's very similar to dodge. It costs 2 more because dodge only costs 1. I think the icons are slightly different. But other than that, it's basically just a dodge that costs more but gives you blessed tokens, and it's a spell in case that matters.
And it's a spell. Yeah. For Diana, she can play it off of the Cloak of Infinite Forever or whatever.
And Mateo can play it.
Yeah. Interesting. It's only as good as the enemies are going to be, right? Maybe as you're approaching late game, if you're like adaptable or something, you could switch it in for like the enemies that have like higher damage and horror values. It might see a good amount of tokens.
I mean, I'm happy to just compare it straight up to dodge, because I think you don't want to waste a dodge if you're only getting hit for a little bit anyway. Like if you even have dodge in your deck, it's because you expect to play it when you're going to get hit for like 2 and 2 or something. So those are the situations. Okay, well, okay, but I mean, you know, so this is already like, if you're playing dodge, then you're probably, assuming you can afford it, you would probably be happy to play this. You know?
Yeah.
It's like 2 more. You're basically paying 2 money to get blessed tokens in the bag. So it's like, again, it's like how much do you want those blessed tokens? If you're playing Sister Mary with all these other blessed cards, then it's probably a little bit better than dodge.
You're also paying 2 more to get some really badass art instead of the relatively boring art of dodge.
Right.
That's true. This is very good art. I had not looked at this yet. This is great. I love this.
Yeah. So I'm trying to think of like the investigator who can cancel the most attacks. And that would be somebody who plays like rogue cards, because they have that one card that like you can cancel attacks of opportunity or something like that. Mystic cards, because they have that one that is like purple dodge. I forget what it's called, and then they also have Hand of Fate and dodge itself. So thinking about this, I think Diana would be like the most benefited from this, because I think Dan is right in that when you're playing dodge, you're not going to just dodge like an enemy. It feels bad to dodge an enemy anyway that does just like 1 or 2 points of damage, and it might not be a big payoff. But like this, especially if you have like Robes of Endless Night, would be 2 instead of paying the 3, and you also just get to dodge an enemy. It tucks under Diana, and then you also get the blessed tokens in the bag. Trying to think of strictly the most value you can possibly get.
I think I would play this if I was a deck that was confident I would have a lot of money, and either I wanted blessed tokens in the bag for some other reason, or I was going to play dodge anyway. That's like the flow.
Sure.
That's like the flow chart that I would use to decide whether to play this.
Yeah, so that could be like Zoe, who has access to a reasonable amount of money.
Yeah, maybe, especially if some weirdo is playing Zoe with like exclusively stabby things and wants to run Blessed Blade, then you need to, you want to make the Blessed Blade do as much for you as possible.
It's true. Blessed Blade is obviously a good Zoe weapon because it is a sword.
And it's blessed.
Which is a big type of knife. Yeah. So you're right. Zoe should just play all 4 of these cards all the time.
Probably.
Good point, Dan.
Yep. I always make good points.
I was gonna say for this, it's just if you're doing stuff with blessed, that's the only time I think I'd play this over like dodge, or even in addition to dodge.
Yeah.
But
let's
we'll see how blessed plays out.
Yeah.
Secret time.
Yeah, we're still kind of. There's going to be more cards released in the Mythos packs too, right? So we're still waiting to see. Yeah, let's move on and talk about
exactly.
the Seeker cards.
Hooray! So Seeker cards, the first one we have, I have no idea how to think of this card. It's called Cryptographic Cipher. It costs 3. It is an asset. Commits 4, 1 intellect. Uses 3 secrets. It's an item and a tool. Fast action, exhaust Cryptographic Cipher, and spend 1 secret to investigate. Your location gets +1 shroud for this investigation. Action, exhaust Cryptographic Cipher and spend 1 secret, investigate. Your location gets -2 shroud for this investigation. Takes up a hand slot. I have no idea. Please help.
So, okay, I think I can help. It's like a flashlight for Seekers only, but if you want, instead of using secrets to make investigating easier, you can make it a little bit harder but not spend an action. So you can do instant investigations with this if you can.
So I was trying to figure out what this would be good with. Like cards that care about shroud value.
Maybe. I feel like...
Go ahead.
Yeah, so it's like, you're right, it's a flashlight for Seeker. Flashlight has 2 charges on it or something, right? Or is it 3? I don't remember.
Flashlight has 3.
It has 3, but it costs 2 to play.
This is a little more expensive.
So this costs 1 more. I feel like if you're trying to use it in place of a flashlight, that's silly. Like you want to be using the free trigger as much as you can. I think
it also also exhausts, unlike flashlight, which is very unfortunate.
Yeah.
So here, okay, but before I saw that this exhausted, I was a little bit excited for it because look, the goal of making a Seeker deck is to teleport all around the map, picking up all the clues in a 4-player game without like just instantly without having to do anything, right? Like you're trying to just wreck the game, and the game very helpfully provides you with cards that can do this. So I was kind of excited for this because there's plenty of ways to get secrets onto things, and there's ways to move without spending actions. And there's some ways to get clues without spending actions. Like you can knowledge's power off of guiding stones is a good way to do it, but you can always use more. So I was thinking like, you could use the ancient stone that lets you move when you draw cards, and you could like activate this and commit deductions and things, and you could cycle your deck a million times as you're doing this, and it would be pretty cool. But the fact that it exhausts itself kind of wrecks that. So I think I'm not really that excited about this. I think as with most Seeker hand slot items, I would just rather have a magnifying glass.
Yeah, so obviously -2 shroud is pretty powerful. It helps you play like survivor cards a little easier. It's helps you fail less in general. The first line of text is what is so bewildering to me because like there are certain things that it does help. Like Dream Diary. One of the Dream Diaries you can use and it gets extra benefits if you're at a shroud 4 or higher, I think. And then there's also like the Ancient Stone that when you initially do the Ancient Stone, you record the shroud value, so you can kind of get a little bit more value in your secrets for it. There might be a couple other interactions that I'm missing, but like certain things like that, it could be useful in assisting in one way or another. Maybe you're putting it in for that kind of a thing. Like if you want to get the maximum secrets out of your Ancient Stone or whatever. But yeah, so. It's an interesting card.
Yeah, I just think it's, man, magnifying glass is an extremely good card. I feel like I say that all the time, and it's becoming a cliche, but it really is. Like, this is, put aside the top part where it saves you actions, This makes investigating easier by 2 for 3 actions for 3 resources and an action to play it. Or magnifying glass is 1 resource, no actions to play it, and it makes every investigation 1 easier forever. Right? So
this is true.
But maybe for solo decks that don't have super high intellect and like, you know, don't need to get as many clues or something. It's not totally crazy.
If you're trying to reduce the shroud, I think you're trying to like reduce the shroud down to 0 or whatever, so you can automatically pass. That's usually what reducing tests the goal is for.
Yeah, Sultry in the chat actually also saying the Ancient Stone doesn't work because the uninterpreted Ancient Stone has its own investigate action on the card, so it can't even combo with that.
Yeah, there's not many ways to. You have to hope to draw a obscuring fog or something to get the shroud high for that. I think is what you have to do. Yeah.
Yeah. But if you can reduce the shroud down to 0 with this somehow, that's fine. But again, Flashlight does the same thing. So
and it's cheaper. If
you're playing this, I think you're trying to do the 3 free investigates for and just be able to pass the +1 shroud because you're a seeker. I don't know if this. Is there a survivor that's subclass seeker?
So Harrison does make a good point that this lets you get another a 4th investigate in a turn if you're trying to like investigate with Amanda as much as possible while you have a deduction or perception under her, which I like the idea of that. I think you really rely on magnifying glasses as Amanda to keep her intellect high so that she can actually pass those tests. And it's like, I don't know, if you manage to investigate 3 times with that type of deck, then you're already doing great anyway, right? Like a 4th one is kind of gravy, but it's definitely something interesting to think about.
Yeah, no, Sultry with these skeleton key play, things like that's all cool stuff. And honestly, I didn't know until you guys just mentioned it that this, when you use the fast action, it's technically a fast investigate. So you get 4. Completely over my head when I first read it.
Yeah.
But
I mean, that's like, I think that's what makes this cool. Otherwise, it would just be a worse magnifying glass. But
that's fair.
Yeah. Anything else about this, or let's move on to the next card?
Is there a survivor that has Seeker subclass?
I think that's one of the only things we don't have yet.
I'm hoping for Daryl.
Like, I feel like that person would want to maybe use this because they can combo it. Just like with Old King Ring and Flashlight, they can combo it to get, like, fail by effects off.
Next card.
All right, fine, whatever. All right, so the next card is the Cryptic Grimoire, or Grimoire. Untranslated, it is a cost 3 asset with 1 wild icon. Is an item, a tome, and a cult. Action, add 1 curse token to the Chaos Bag. Action, if there are 10 curse tokens in the Chaos Bag, discard Cryptic Grimoire, record in your campaign log that you have translated the Grimoire. Replace 5 Chaos tokens in the Chaos Bag with, replace 5 curse tokens in the Chaos Bag with 5 blessed tokens. Takes up a hand slot. So this is the untranslated thing for this cycle. I feel like it's hard to comment on it without knowing what it translates to.
Right.
Seems bad by itself, though, right?
Yeah, it's because most of the other untranslated things are, on average, easier to discover than this, and they give you some type of benefit that's a lot nicer along the way than this. Like, here's the issue here: you have to potentially. You can't really discover this on your own. You need to have other cards that put curse tokens in the bag, because, I mean, if you try to just use the action on this, 1, you're going to spend a million actions doing nothing, making the bag worse, and 2, by the time you do that, people are going to do tests and they're going to pull the curse tokens out.
Exactly.
So it has to be like you're going to get 7 or 8 curse tokens in the bag anyway by people doing like Promise of Power and stuff, and then you're going to just push it up to 10 with this.
Right.
And keep in mind, even after there are 10, you still have to spend an action to activate the second thing to discover it. That's crazy, right? That seems really stupid.
We're gonna see cards in this expansion that add curse tokens, but yeah, you're right. We need those to power it up.
Yeah, and that's kind of my take on this. Is like, some of these, it's cool to like start them at the beginning of the campaign and just kind of gamble that you'll get something cool out of them later. This one, it's so nasty that unless you're sure you're just going to be able to fill a ton of curse tokens, I would wait and see what it is before you try it.
Yeah, I think a lot of the cards that have been previewed from future Mythos packs, I think for Seekers, we see stuff that lets them use curse tokens for benefits. So this maybe will help more with that, with some of those cards that are out yet. They're not out yet, but...
Yeah, it's a fair point.
It's a risk to put it in your deck now if you're gonna run it through Innsmouth with it. I think.
Yeah.
Kraken in the chat has a good point. Like the upgrade better be like win the game, or like get one clue from every location, revealed location, or something like that. Like things like that would be very powerful and like worth. Okay, listen, Tony's gonna take 2 of these and he's gonna dump both of his Faustian bargains on it, and we're gonna crank the everything to max in 1 turn and get it done. But it's like, sorry,
Trish could, but she might not be able to take the upgraded version.
One dumb question that I'm going to ask just in case. I'm pretty sure the answer is no. Suppose you have a knowledge's power. Knowledge's power is you can activate something on a book without paying the cost. The if there are 10 curse tokens in the bag is technically part of the cost because it's before the colon. That doesn't mean you can just knowledge's power and directly pop off the second action, right? Ben's having a think.
Why do you ask questions like that, man?
I enjoy it a lot. That's why I do it, because it feels good.
Chat help.
I think there must be a reason that does. It would be a lot clearer if this instead explained what the action is and then said activate this only if there are 10 tokens in the bag.
Yeah, because I think the rest of the untranslated stuff, usually it's like the action does something and then you do the check.
Right.
But this has it as 2 separate actions.
But by the way, if they had templated,
I think that works.
If they had templated this that way,
easy game.
If they had templated this that way, it would be much cooler. Like it should just be add a token and then check if there's 10, and then you discover it. It's really annoying that you have to spend a whole extra action once you already have 10 in the bag, which is really hard.
Yeah, nobody make a test.
Well, so when you do an action, you have to actually affect the game state. I don't know.
This does that.
What if you have no curse tokens in the bag? Then you can't replace them with 5 less tokens, but you still translate the Grimoire.
But you still are recording.
Like that might work.
You're recording in the campaign log, And what if you had 1 curse token in the bag?
Oh my God, Captain Friday's glad to see you here. Listen, Dan found a way to circumvent 10 curse tokens in the bag.
We're just trying to give Ben stuff to think about. We're just trying to keep Ben awake until 3 a.m. tonight, lying in bed thinking about whether or not this would work. So,
knowledge is power. I feel like that works. It's possible that some rule about like game state changing doesn't apply here, but.
The real
off the cuff, I can't think of why that wouldn't work. Someone correct me in the comments when we post this up.
Someone correct Ben. I think the real takeaway from this is, as we already know, knowledge's power is a nasty, dirty, broken little card. That's all I have to say. That card is nuts.
If knowledge's power works in this and the upgrades for this are like reasonable, then this might be fine.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. Then we're getting excited. Then we're cooking with gas.
There's gonna be something that.
Yeah. Nobody tell MJ about this until after the new to-do list and FAQ come out. Then let's ask.
And the upgrades.
Yeah. Exactly. Okay. Let's. Anything else, or should we move on?
No. Let's move on. We still got like 20 cards to go through.
We sure do. Is it back to me?
Yeah.
Okay. The next card is Deep Knowledge. Seeker event, cost 2, has a willpower icon and a intellect icon. It is an insight and cursed. Wait, an insight event? Crazy. As an additional cost to play Deep Knowledge, add 2 curse tokens to the Chaos bag. Investigators at your location draw a combined total of 3 cards. You decide how many cards each investigator draws. Okay.
I'm glad they added that clarification then, so you can't like think, I'm going to play Knowledge of Power, and then someone next to you is like, I draw 3 cards. I guess that's to stop that. I mean, there's other ways to draw cards. It's nice that this helps other people, kind of, but
yeah, I think judged against other Seeker stuff, this is sort of weak.
This is level 2. Sketches without the clue stipulation, right?
Yeah, it's like a level 0 sketches that's free that you can share with other people, but it adds curses and you don't have to be on a place with a clue, right?
Also, like Captain Varney says a very good point. Why Seekers don't need draw? So here's the thing, though. If we get a later point where Seekers just get this thing that's like for every 2 curse tokens in the Chaos bag, remove them and deal 2 damage to an enemy or something like that. That's the stuff.
What I was thinking, I was hoping like imagine if there's like a level 2 version of this, which is like, For each curse token in the bag, somebody gets to draw a card, maximum of 6 or something like that. Like,
there you go.
That would be, I mean, that would be like more of an ask because you'd have to have a bunch of curse tokens in there, but it would be interesting because potentially you could get a lot of cards out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is okay because you can help one of your friends. Seekers don't need more ways to draw cards themselves, but this can help other people draw cards. So if you're not going hard clue constantly, and maybe you want to help someone that has a bad draw engine on your team that could help with them. But yeah, the stipulation of how good this is based on what other card effects can benefit from curse tokens or not.
Yeah, like this card, I think like I would be very excited to see this card neutral. Like if it were like a neutral card, I'd be like, oh, that's kind of a fair power level. I feel like 2 curse tokens for 3 cards split amongst, X investigators might be kind of a reasonable.
Drawing 3 cards for 1 action is too powerful for a neutral card game.
Well, yeah,
only Seeker can
for a card for an action in a card, right? It's that's
right.
I think it is interesting. So most Seeker cards, the names follow the formula. For an event, it's usually figure something out or like learn the thing or something. It's usually a verb that means like learn something, and usually the assets are called like secret knowing stuff. So this one they kind of switch that around a little bit. But yeah, I don't think this is amazing, but I'm interested to see if there's like an upgraded version that like scales with the number of curse tokens or something. Then I would be interested to see how that would work.
It'll be interesting. Because that tome is based off curses, maybe the effect on the tome will be like something that's like, oh, for every curse token in the bag, deal damage, like you were just saying.
Right.
It could, or evade or something.
And it's like you were also saying, if there's enough Seeker cards that add curse tokens, this could be part of a deck that is cool. If you can actually benefit from the curse tokens instead of them being like at best neutral, right? So
yeah, I think one of the cards previewed is like a permanent for Seekers that like makes curse tokens once per round a +1 or something.
Oh, is that the contract
Covenant
or whatever?
or something?
Covenant, yeah.
Yeah, it's coming out like the second Mythos pack, maybe the first one. I don't remember, but there's definitely going to be stuff. It's just hard to judge without seeing the whole picture for the whole cycle. So
well, let's see a little bit more of the full picture, and let's look at. I think wow, the first card that doesn't do curses. Let's read this one.
First one was cryptographic, whatever.
Oh no, you're right. Yeah.
So
well, actually, if you looked at the art on cryptographic, one of those symbols is actually a curse symbol. So
damn it!
I don't know if that's true.
So this next card is Plan of Action. It is a Seeker skill card. Commits for 1 wild symbol, and it's practiced. If this skill here we go. If this skill test is during or before the first action of this turn, Plan of Action gains a will icon and a agility icon. If this skill test is between the first and third actions of this turn, draw 1 card if it succeeds. If the skill test is during or after the third action of this turn, Plan of Action gains a combat and an intellect. So there are like 3 modes for this card. Really, really interesting design in the card, and honestly, like a lot of the symbols are kind of like where you'd want them to be in as much like if you're doing a check during Mythos phase, it's usually a treachery that's either testing your will or your agility. And if you're during your turn, drawing a card is kind of like nice icing on the cake if you're going to be committing this to a test. And then during or after the third action of your turn, I'm completely lost, and I don't know why it's adding a combat icon.
I think
because maybe at the end of turns when you actually punch something or investigate.
When we first saw this, we had a big conversation about how the rules work, because the question of like how does this work if you commit it during Mythos phase or outside of your turn even, or somebody's turn, I guess, is kind of like right.
Yeah, if you're not doing it during a turn, it's just a 1 wild icon.
Not great,
and,
right?
Yeah, it's like the skill test during or before the first action of this turn. That has to be during Investigator's turn.
Mm-hmm.
The only way it can be before is if they're doing like a free trigger or something, a reaction maybe.
It's also even if you're playing like Secret Tony or something, and you're trying to take a bunch of actions, like there's no way to like I don't know. It would be interesting if this like sort of Amanda style like committed to everything that you do during a turn or something. But I think this is just really bad.
It's like it's a way worse unexpected courage.
Yeah, it's
right?
like there's just
really restrictive.
there's more than enough skill cards in the game right now that are like very objectively better than this.
Yeah, I get like the theme of this card is like you're planning your turn out, so you know when to like strategically use it to get an extra symbol. That's like the theme.
Exactly.
But it's like kind of complicated. It's like an interesting idea, but
Yeah, I like the theme.
I don't see it paying off.
I mean, it's alluding to the fact that Trish might use it, right? Like, that's Trish on the card, is that right?
Yeah, I think that's Trish.
So, I mean, if she's a rogue and she's getting extra actions, you can kind of choose where you want those extra actions, right? Like if you're playing that one card that gives you an extra action for $2, pretty much anywhere you want it, or if you're doing like quick thinking, things like that, it might be cool with. But again, like if you're not going to be able to get extra value out of it, like as Dan was saying, like if you put it under Amanda and you somehow get extra actions to investigate in the middle of the turn and draw a couple cards with it, that's kind of cool. But it's a stretch. Why not just play other secret cards?
I mean,
there's no way to get more than one card off of this because it's only your second action. No, so I guess you can do it with free triggers or something.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
I mean, like best case scenario, you put this under Amanda, and it does nothing for you. Okay, so first action you evade something that you drew during Mythos phase. Second action you investigate and draw a card. Third action you investigate again and you get a bonus. That's still like there's enough better cards to put under Amanda than that.
Yeah, I was thinking like Cryptographic Cipher, things that would give you extra like investigate or something like that in between.
Yeah.
The draw the card is the most enticing, right? Like that it'll replace itself at some, like if you do it on your second action, it's just really hard to justify this over other cards. I think is
like,
my issue.
The card seems like it's very versatile because it's like, oh, you can have different types of symbols, but it's just play Unexpected Courage.
So you're saying
Unexpected Courage is boring, but
so Ben, if I understand correctly, you're saying that Calvin should take versatile so he can play this card. Is that what you're saying?
No, I did say the word versatile though, which we agreed to never say or mention because it'll make us talk about the card for hours.
Put a quarter in the jar and let's move on to the next card. So next up we have rogue cards.
All right, so our first rogue card is the 25 automatic. It's a 4-cost asset with an agility icon. It's an item, a weapon, a firearm, and illicit, which of course means Preston cannot use it. It is fast, uses 4 ammo, action, spend 1 ammo, fight. If the attacked enemy is exhausted, you get +2 combat and deal +1 damage for this attack.
So it's a lot of bonuses. But the question is, how reliably can you evade?
I think
go
ahead.
Yeah, if you're like Finn or Trish, or most of the rogues have high agility. Because this is fast, this means like you can evade and then play it when you need after you've evaded something, and maybe shoot it a couple times. With Rogue, you usually have a bunch of extra actions you're playing with anyway. So even like Tony, who has like a million actions without trying that hard, could like he can't evade stuff, but if someone else evaded it, he could like play this and shoot it 4 times pretty easily for a consistent +1 damage.
I think if you're playing a Finn or Trish solo deck, this is quite good, right? Because you can evade things without spending an action, without like spending one of your technically 3 actions, and then it's like Ben said, because it's fast, you can hold it in hand, and like you don't have to commit the money in the hand slot to it until you know that you really need it. I guess maybe the only question is like if you're a solo deck and you evade something, why do you need to kill it? Why do you not just like move away? I mean, I guess there's things like Wizard of the Order or something. There could be like cards that you actually do have to kill.
There's stuff with Doom on it or Hunters.
Bosses.
You might not really away from. Bosses.
Yeah.
I mean, real quick, let's compare this to other rogue guns, because this is like probably one of the more consistent ones, right? Because Derringer will give you the +2, but it won't give you the +1 damage unless you succeed by 2. The pocket special, Dan's pocket special,
my favorite card,
is just not even really worth mentioning. The new card, the Mauser, is honestly one of my favorite cards recently to play with, but it's still not like at a consistency that I find like a Guardian weapon would be as good as doing. But this is like a very consistent effect if you can fulfill the stipulation, like we were saying, Finn or Trish.
Yeah, I think if you are a deck that is mostly wants to evade things and is very good at that and can do it very efficiently, and occasionally you need to kill stuff, I think this is very solid. I think this, if your combat, like Wendy probably doesn't play it because her combat is so low, but
she's a child.
But yeah, but like Finn, I think is a really good use case for this, and maybe Trish as well. So, and maybe even others. Maybe like if you're playing Tony, maybe I don't know. Yes,
Could Skids use this? Skids is an evade, right?
Yeah,
he's a 4 evade.
Yeah,
this might be like a pretty good Skids weapon, I think.
Yeah.
Plus, he can play it fast, and then he could, he can pay extra $2 to get an extra action that turn, so then he could shoot it off 3-4 times.
Pull it out of his incredibly cute purse.
Yeah, you can also and anything that lets you kind of like like evade something for free or something, like if you have a decoy, maybe that makes it a little better. Mm-hmm. If you have if someone in the group has pendant, that makes it a little better,
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think this has a lot of uses, so it's a good add to the rogue weapon pool. So.
Yeah. Time to move on.
Yeah.
Okay. So next we have Dark Ritual. So this is a 1-cost rogue asset with 1 intellect icon on it. It is a ritual and it's cursed. So there's nobody that can't play cursed things, right? Rex can't play fortune things.
Rex can't play fortune things,
Yeah.
Seal up to 5 curse tokens forced at the end of the Mythos phase. You must either spend 1 resource or discard Dark Ritual. Takes up an arcane slot. I'm confused why the art is like an elder sign. I guess this is like, even though it says Dark Ritual, this is like a beneficial, like protective spell kind of.
Yeah, it's a protective spell.
Protecting you from curses.
Yeah. I don't really. I'm trying to imagine a scenario where I could ever be so afraid of curse tokens that I would play a card in my deck just to deal with curse tokens.
I guess if you're like playing some of these cards that add a bunch of curses, but you're not actually benefiting from them, so the rest of your team is like glaring at you as you add like 5 curse tokens to the bag.
I think if you're trying
I guess I'll play this to seal them off, guys. Don't worry, it's fine.
I think if you're trying to grief your friend who's trying to discover the Cryptic Grimoire, that's the main use case I can think of for this.
Actually, if you could use this to hold on to a couple curse tokens until you've added the rest to stop them from getting added.
Yeah.
Cryptic Grimoire.
That is true. That is true.
I don't know if it's a good use case, but
we're really stretching though. This is pretty bad, right?
Yeah. So I mean, here's the thing. I'm happy this card exists because I'm half of me is willing to bet that there's going to be a scenario later on in Innsmouth where it's just like, at the beginning of every turn, add 2 curse tokens to the bag. And it's just going to be really annoying. And I think that I wouldn't be excited if it were any other class, but this happens to be the class that adaptable is a reasonable, include. Actually, I love that card so much. It makes rogues like rogues for me. Yeah. And like, this is the perfect card that you'd want to adaptable into a scenario that might have that, like, a ton of curses going on. And like, you can't do anything about it, but cards like this might save you in a pinch.
We'll have to see if we get scenarios that do something like that. But that'd be a great tech card.
Because they have. I mean, I think Jeremy said that some scenario cards would interact with Blessed and Curse tokens in Innsmouth. So I'm kind of with Dane. I am sort of expecting that we'll see maybe like 1 or 2 scenarios that have a very Bless and Curse token themed mechanic going on in them, and probably the rest won't interact with it at all. So this could be a pretty solid adaptable target. Other than that, I really don't think you should ever play this.
Same.
Yeah.
Let's move right on to the next one. It's a card that we previewed.
Yes, it is Obfuscation. So Obfuscation, 2-cost asset, commits for a combat icon. It's a spell, it's fast, and it uses 3 charges. Triggered ability: when an enemy makes an attack of opportunity against you, you spend a charge and you cancel that attack. And then a quote, which is also a movie title that Dan may or may not have seen. And it takes up a spell slot. So we kind of already talked a little bit about this when we did kind of our reveal for it. Interesting with specific playstyles, like Trish, for example, who wants to discover a clue and evade an enemy. If you're into weird plays where you maybe at the end of a scenario where you're running to the resign place, you can throw one of these down and get to where you need to be or whatever.
Yeah, this has like a few use cases, as you mentioned, with Trish, because her ability is if there's an enemy at your location, when you discover clues, or enemy at a location that you discover clues from, you get an extra benefit of an extra clue or free evade. So maybe you use this with that to like do a regular investigate, avoid the AOO, but then still evade the enemy or get an extra clue or something. Yeah, some Captain Farnus mentioned in chat, like you can combo it with using the bow to be able to reload your bow when you need to without taking AOO.
That's a pretty cool use of it.
Yeah, I think those. So yeah, Trish and Ornate Bow, and I can imagine kind of miscellaneous solo decks maybe getting a benefit from it as well.
For sure.
It is fast, so like in a pinch, like if you need to like really badly do something that is not fight the enemy that just engaged you, on a turn for like 3 actions, you can play it and avoid the enemy attack for 3 actions.
Yeah, honestly, I think that's the saving grace of this, because if it wasn't fast, it would be a real hard ask. But again, so 2 major upsides: it's fast, also it's in Rogue. So if you know that there's a scenario that you might be taking attacks of opportunity for some reason, like you really need to get to a place that's not flooded or something like that, and you get engaged with an enemy, and you need to make a break for it, you can do it with this.
It is, so keep in mind though that it only protects you against AOs, but on the other hand, if you compare it to Suggestion level 4, which is another rogue card that sort of does something similar, that works against non-AOs, but it doesn't work against elite enemies. So it's kind of like a trade-off. Yeah, and it's also, I'm not really sure if Dexter wants to play this, because his ability kind of already sort of protects you from AOs if you need to like get a shriveling down. But it is worth mentioning that because this doesn't go away when you runs out of charges, it's a thing that he can use as kind of like fuel for his ability.
Is Retaliate considered an AOO?
Yes.
That's a good question.
That was a very apprehensive yes.
Ben took slightly too many milliseconds to pronounce that no for me to believe he's confident that he's right.
Because if so, it might be kind of a cool tech for Leo or somebody if you're again adaptabling in, knowing that you're going to face some huge enemy and that kind of thing.
No, it's not an AOO.
I thought that was the case, because there's that one Seeker card that dodges an attack of opportunity, and Retaliate not being attack of opportunity.
It doesn't say it's attack of opportunity; it just says it makes an attack against it.
I really think that things that do this should just say if an enemy makes an attack against you, not during enemy phase or something. That would be cool,
Yeah.
Maybe that's like too good for. There's scenarios where like the big spooky monster like hits everybody during Mythos phase, and that's like the enrage timer or something. So maybe they were afraid of that. But
I was on Dexter. Dexter does like cheap stuff that he can play, and cheap stuff that's fast is good too, because maybe he doesn't have an asset that he wants to swap out immediately. He could play this fast and trade out immediately. It's like effectively play the asset fast. Any asset fast at one extra cost.
What Dexter really needs is a great purple card called Advanced Assembly Lines. Let's
for all you Netrunner folk out there.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you're missing out, buddy. It's a great card. Let's move on.
Moving right along.
Yeah.
All right, so the next card is Faustian Bargain, which I probably pronounced correctly.
Nope.
It is Faustian Bargain. All right, it's a 0-cost event with a willpower and an intellect icon. It's a pact and a curse. It's pact and cursed. As an additional cost to play, Faustian Bargain, add 2 curse tokens to the chaos bag. Investigate your location, gain a total of 5 resources, distributed as you wish. This is kind of like...
It's not very Faustian if you're giving them the chaos, the money, right? Like,
is this
that part of the theme kind of confused me.
Features the red glove band on it too.
It's like you're making but the thing is, all of you are gaining the money, but all of you are potentially suffering from the curse tokens. So it's like collectively
that's fair.
Pact. Is this the first non-weakness pact card that we've seen? I think it might be.
Oh, that's a good point.
Might be, I'm not sure.
Because there's
Probably.
pact weaknesses, but I think this is decent, and we should compare it to what was the Seeker card that gives you cards for putting curse tokens in?
Deep
Deep knowledge.
We should compare it to that, because at first glance they're similar, but I think this is quite a bit better. Do you guys agree?
Yeah. There's a card called Blood Pact, Dan. You may have heard of it.
Is that a pact, though?
Yeah.
Okay, because I mean, it doesn't have to be. They do stuff like that sometimes.
Yeah.
So,
like 5 money for one card is like pretty good. Like compare against other level 0 cards like Cash or what was the Rogue, or any of the cards that were like 2 resources and then when you do like fight, investigate, or whatever from the starter decks.
Right.
honestly, compare it to Hot Streak. Like Hot Streak's a level 2 or 4 card. Hot Streak gets you, what is it, 5 for 9 or 10? Is it 5 for 10
It's,
or 4?
level 2 gives you 10 for 5, so you net 5.
And this is like 0 for 5.
Especially when there's a very good chance that you just like never actually have any bad consequences from the curse tokens at all.
Right. Yeah, I think this is solid because the curse tokens, it's like they might make you fail a test somewhere in the future, maybe, but
the money, but you have money right now, right?
Yeah,
you know,
you can distribute it how you want. Like it's like maybe you don't need the money for some reason because maybe you draw this late and you need to give your guardian money or something.
Or it's like they really need to play beat cop, so you keep the other 3 and use it to play something else. Like you can spread it out intelligently.
Yeah, I mean, even flipping your weakness and realizing that it's indebted or something, and like you can just adaptable this in later, and like you're pretty okay on money for a while. Just with 2 of these, you're gaining 10 resources for 2 cards in your deck. That's really great.
Yeah, this seems quite good, and the art is really neat too. It reminds me of a little card called Career Fair, and what was the other one that had the same art with like the guy across the table?
What? This is the red glove. This is the red glove man. So you can see the red gloves. And he's got a folder with an elder sign on it, but the elder sign, what? I don't know what's actually going on there.
It's a little contract. It's a little. He's pushing you a contract.
Did you sign it by making an elder sign? Is that how you signed it?
See, if you had the Adobe Creative Cloud Enhance button, you could just enhance and read the contract. So
maybe.
Join our Patreon, everybody.
I kind of regretted not putting this in my Dexter deck initially. I might adaptable it in just because Colin's always broke. Use it.
That's actually a good point. You might consider adaptabling it in because you're playing with like a guardian or whatever.
It's funny. It's funny because in that group, the other 2 of us are so rich all the time. Like, Amanda and Dexter are extremely rich, and Sister Mary's always like, "Wow, I wish I could play this card." You know.
There are honestly times where I'm just like, I wish I could.
That's what Crack the Case is for.
10 resources or something.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
But
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
this one's pretty solid, I think. Let's move on though to the first Mystic card. And it's the Sword Cane. Did I pronounce that right?
Yes. Okay. We also spoiled it.
Okay.
Oh, no, we didn't. Just kidding. Somebody else spoiled it.
Yeah, I think John of the Flame or somebody spoiled it, I think. Okay, so Sword Cane. It's a 2-cost mystic asset with a combat icon on it. It is an item, a relic, a weapon, and it's melee. Playing Sword Cane does not provoke attacks of opportunity. Reaction. After Sword Cane enters play, immediately trigger its action ability without paying its cost. Action. Exhaust Sword Cane. Fight, evade. You may use your willpower in place of your combat or agility for this attack or evasion attempt. Takes up a hand slot.
Oh, God.
I like this card.
The more you say Sword Cane, I don't know why. It's a sword that's also a cane.
It's so cool.
Yep.
It's so goddamn cool.
This is a very cool card for theme. I liked it a lot playing it in Dexter.
Oh, you played it in Dexter?
I have to say,
how was it?
I was skeptical of this at first, and then I saw Ben actually play it. I think this is actually really good.
Is it really?
I think it's quite good. It's just like,
explain away.
Well, I'll let Ben do it because Ben's actually played it.
Yeah, it has a lot of things going for it. First of all, it's not actually fast, but you can play it. You can play it reactively for when you need to do an emergency fight,
right.
or it's usually an emergency evade. I think more often than not, but it's cheap, so you can play it. Dexter can bounce it around. If Dexter bounces it in for free, then he gets to immediately trigger it for free, which is fun.
Sure.
But it's like a recurring. You can use it every turn once to do an evade or a fight with your willpower, which is what you're doing anyway as a mystic.
Mm-hmm.
and it's just very strong.
That's the thing is like, so you can use it as a emergency evasion thing, and it's like Mists of Relia, which is, Mists is better in some ways, but this one you don't have to play in advance. You can wait until you need it and then play it. Also, it doesn't run out of charges. Also, it takes up a hand slot instead of an arcane slot, which is much better. So
that's quite good.
So it's kind of a replacement for Mists, but it's also kind of one of the fun little extra features of like the Spirit of Thame is that you can use it in a pinch to kill an acolyte that has like only 1 health, right? And this is even better because instead of just giving you like a combat bonus and you need to actually have decent combat for that to really be worth it, this you're using your will. This is great for just like killing an acolyte if you really need to. Especially,
for sure, yeah.
Or finishing off an enemy that has 3 health. Normally you're like, damn it, I don't want to use the second shriveling charge. Well, you've got this.
Right. That's the big thing. Yeah. It helps you preserve your charges for things you might not even need to use them.
It just does so much. And if you're an old man, you can lean on it as you walk so that you can kind of, amble across the campus green or whatever. So
this is that call an ambulance, but not for me kind of a card, right?
Yeah, this is like a very solid card for Norman.
Yeah, right.
Since Fight and Agility are terrible, it takes up one of his five Mystic slots, but might be pretty worth it. And
I think it's. I guess I didn't notice that it also evaded for what it could do.
Right.
And that's very valuable in its own because it basically says that you can handle yourself while you're getting set up. After you've gotten set up, you can just punch a cultist. Yeah, you're right. It's very versatile.
I really did like a 180 on this. I went from like cool flavor, but I'll probably never play it, to like, oh, I'm gonna play this in a lot of Mystic decks.
Yeah. Anybody who uses the spells who have charges like Shriveling and Azure Flame, all that kind of stuff. Like, you want to preserve charges, and this is exactly what you need to do.
And even just if you're a hybrid mystic, you're like, okay, I'm going to play a spell to get clues and a spell to fight. I also want to play Mists of Relia, but I don't have a third arcane slot. I don't want to play Sign Magic or some crap. Play this,
Right. Forgotten Age, it's pretty fine.
Yeah.
It's a relic too, which means
Ursula can play it.
Yeah, it does mean Ursula can play it.
Yeah.
There's various characters that benefit from having relics, like Witten. Yes, someone in chat mentioned like Witten from Harvey's deck benefits from having it, or you could do if you're doing the Ursula relic deck, you could throw in throw it on what's the lady, Ellie? I don't know. Those aren't as good.
Really,
we're stretching now. We're stretching.
Really well designed card. This is maybe my pick for like favorite card so far that I'm excited to play.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Yeah. Let's move on though.
Is it me?
Yes.
Tides of Fate. This is a Seeker event. It commits for 1 wild. It is a spell, and it's blessed, which means Mateo can take it, although he can already take it. Fast. Play during any fast action window or at the start of the round. Replace all curse tokens in the bag with an equal number of blessed tokens. At the end of the round, replace all blessed tokens in the bag with an equal number of curse tokens. Interesting card. Does a very specific thing in that you need to be playing a lot of blessed tokens, or I'm sorry, you need to getting a lot of curse tokens in the bag so that then you can use them as blessed tokens. Everybody takes their turns, ideally benefiting from the blessed tokens, and then you count all the remaining blessed tokens, and then you put the curses back in as if it never happened. The big thing from earlier that I was referencing is you can use this in tandem with the thing that seals blessed tokens.
Yeah, Rite of Sanctification.
So you can put a bunch of curse tokens in the bag. Put like 5 curse tokens in the bag somehow, and then play Rite of Sanctification. That way, all of your curse tokens become blessed tokens, and then get sealed on it. And then at the end of the round, since they're sealed, it doesn't put any tokens back in the bag.
Yeah, it's definitely a neat combo, but it's a lot of steps.
Interesting.
I'm not sure what.
This is like a fun little glimpse into what life would be like if I just played really terrible cards and tried to get them to interact with each other. It's really really interesting to see that.
Lola strats.
This is a really good Lola card, I gotta say. This is definitely an excellent card for Lola.
I think that I don't know.
This
like
kinda
if,
sucks.
well, here's what, if you've loaded up 10 curse tokens and then you play this.
Why did you do that though?
Because I don't know.
Just
because
to
of how blessed
discover
tokens
to
work.
discover the Cryptic Grimoire.
Yes, basically.
How? But then you already turned 5 of them into blessed tokens by doing that.
No.
Oh yeah, right.
How how are you? This doesn't do anything. This is a card that doesn't do anything. It changes some tokens that don't do anything into different tokens that don't do anything, and then at the end of the round it changes them back. Congratulations.
It is a lot of grabbing all the chaos tokens, dumping them out on the table, pulling them out, putting more back in, scooping them up, and at the end of the round, pushing them all onto the table again, scooping them out. This is like
definitely somehow recur this so you can play it every turn.
double it.
Well,
there you go.
I mean, if you could recur it, that'd be kind of fun and goofy. I don't know. I think you have to play this with something that you actually maybe want to get curse tokens in the bag by the end, so you could cobble it off the curse tokens, maybe. Like, it's like you're playing with Sister Mary, and she keeps putting all these stupid blessed tokens in the bag, and you're like, I don't want those.
Cell portal stupid. That is a high level.
That is
stupid,
very
I have
apt.
to say.
That is very apt.
Yeah,
I don't.
I was
I don't know what
going
that
to
is.
say stargazing stupid, but I know that's controversial. Y'all aren't ready to have that conversation yet.
Cell's the protagonist of Portal, I think. Is that?
No,
He's
that's
talking about the
Shell.
video game Portal?
Not even
Shell?
close.
Where are we right now? Anyways, this card, Tides of Fate, probably going to see a lot of time in my drawer. Not really.
I'm sure there's some crazy jank you can do with this, but I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm excited to really commit to trashing this card because if it turns out it does end up being good somehow, then it'll just be funny and that'll be fine. So it's fine.
I'm expecting it to show up in some type of like infinite recursion deck somehow in like a 6 months.
Our friend Colin, who loves janky cards, tried to play this in Sister Mary, and I think by the end of a scenario, even he was like, "Oh, this card doesn't do anything." So
I think he wanted to play it to cancel out Sister Mary's weakness, but if you put too many blessed tokens in the bag, but we were like, denying existence exists.
yeah.
He's like,
Yeah.
Let's stop piling on this card. I think let's
All right.
go on to the next one.
So next card is Ward of Radiance. It is a cost 0 event with willpower and agility icon, insight and blessed. Fast, play when investigator at your location draws a non-weakness treachery card. You deal 5 random chaos tokens from the chaos bag. If a blessed or elder sign token is revealed, cancel that treachery's card's revelation effect.
So this is one of those payoff cards. I was thinking, like, in a Sister Mary deck, I'd probably end this. One of these. Because there is a certain time, I think, where you might be calculating, oh, there are like 8 blessed tokens in the bag or whatever. And and obviously an elder sign. So, like, there's a pretty good chance that I'm going to be able to ward this. Don't count on it, but I mean, the effect by itself, if this was just ward, this is basically like Test of Will, right? Test of Will is the one that does it for anybody at your location, which is pretty good. It's better than ward level 0 because of that reason, but also 5 random chaos tokens. We were talking about a card a little earlier so this is actually the one that you reveal multiple ones, which significantly changes the chances of you pulling one of them. And you might get an elder sign even if you don't draw any of the blessed tokens that you might have put in the back.
Yeah. So I was playing this in Dexter and Colin was playing it in Sister Mary just because we were like, oh, we're probably gonna have blessed tokens because of Sister Mary. And I think it worked most of the time. Like, if you have like 3 or 4 blessed tokens in the bag, the base chaos bag's like 15, 16 tokens, I think, depending on the campaign. Then you're choosing 5 out of there. Dan, I'm sure can instantly tell us the math on that.
Not instantly. I mean, if I had thought of it ahead of time, we could have figured it out. But I would be interested in seeing what the curve looks like for, like, you know, as a function of how many blessed tokens are in the bag and how many total tokens. Like, how often does this fire? And obviously, you can use things like Jacqueline's ability to make it even a little bit more likely to trigger, I think.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like less consistent than Ward level 2, but Ward level 0 you can't play on other people, as Dane was saying. We have Test of Will 0 now though.
Yeah.
But obviously that's in Survivor. So I think it's like interesting to consider if you're going to be playing with blessed tokens, especially if Sister Mary's in the group. I think this is worth considering over Word of Protection level 0, just so you can play on other people.
Well, not over, but I think in addition to.
Well, there's only so much cancellation you need to do.
That's the thing. Like 2 wards is like almost exactly the right amount in most decks. I think like maybe you'd kind of like to have like a third, but I wouldn't play 4 probably in most scenarios. Like I think that's the thing. And also keep in mind that Word of Protection also most Mystics play Arcane Initiate, right? And you can find it with that. This is not a spell. So that's
that's right. I didn't even.
That's honestly a big deal. And just overall though, like, so ward level 0 costs a resource, and you take a horror, and it and you can't play it on other people, but it definitely works, right? And this is like, okay, so it doesn't cost anything, doesn't cost you a horror, and you can play it on other people, but even if there are like 4 or 5 blessed tokens, there's going to be like a non-trivial chance that it just fails. I would rather just stick with the dependable ward level 0, I think.
The other downside to this, ward of Protection is a spirit, which we all know Calvin can play.
Yeah.
This Calvin cannot play.
That is true. Yeah, it's very true.
Yeah, I lean towards the flow chart interpretation for this. Like, you need to have somebody doing something with blessed, whether that's you or someone else on your team, and you need to like be concerned about having to ward for other people. So before you think about playing this,
and even then, you should probably upgrade this to ward level 2 when you can.
Yeah.
Although you can't do that with Arcane Research. So
that is true. Yeah.
And if you adaptable in the ward protection 0, we upgrade anything else.
Yeah, I think I'm also, as I mentioned to Ben, I'm mad about this because now arguably we can no longer just say ward and ward 2 anymore, because now there's multiple things called ward. So
yeah, that is actually a huge hit against this card.
Yeah, that's not cool. That's not.
Now we have to say it war. How do you say war with an O in the middle?
What ward?
War.
I don't know. Ward.
And then WAP. That's what we'll have to call them now, I guess.
Anything else to say about Ward of Radiance, or shall we move on?
We're good.
We got one more Mystic card to talk about, and it's another one that we were given to preview. It's Promise of Power, which is a level 0 skill with 4 wild icons on it. The art is a book that says Toast, and it is practiced and cursed. And it says, after you commit Promise of Power to a skill test, add 1 curse token to the chaos bag. If you cannot, take 2 horror instead.
So we all played this card in our 3-player Urdu with Khalid.
We did.
Did Khalid?
Wait, really?
Yeah.
I remember Colin.
Who are you playing?
Dexter, Amanda, and Mary. It's practice, so Amanda can take it.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
And what was your evaluation of this card, Dan? What would you say? Would you say it's really good?
I wouldn't say extremely good. I'd say it's pretty good.
Yeah,
I think it's very good. Yeah, the 4 symbols is nothing to scoff at.
Because the thing is, the curse token just usually doesn't matter. Like, I was a little bit worried that I'm a little worried about putting this under Amanda and doing like 3 tests and maybe put three chaos tokens in, but it still doesn't matter. It's like fine, you know.
Yeah.
And yeah, because it is like you find it with practice makes perfect. You commit it to it. It'll get you through like just about any treachery. It's pretty good. You know,
you can dodge it's so versatile. Like the fact that it adds 4
put another quarter
is
in the
huge.
jar.
Even if you're at a 1 in a stat and you play this card, there's a very good chance that you're going to succeed that test, right? And Amanda's the perfect test subject because she's 2s in everything. How good is getting to 6 in pretty much any stat in any given time? It's actually really, really good.
Even if you put 4 chaos tokens, because you do 3 tests and then you do a treachery or something, it's that's probably fine. You know, I mean, it's probably not that bad.
There's always a chance to draw the curse token you just added or whatever, but then it's just it was a courage. It's an extra courage, which is fine.
And so with curse and blessed tokens, just as kind of a base, you can only put maximum 10. Is that right?
Correct.
You can have 10 blessed or curse tokens. So
10 of each.
10 of each. 10 blessed or 10 curse tokens. You're rarely going to run into the 2 horror thing, right?
You have to be playing. Yeah, you have to be playing a deck that's hard putting curses into the.
Yeah.
When trying
to do the Grimoire.
Exactly. Honestly, with all 3 of us playing this, and Amanda was one of them, that's like if one of us had wanted to discover the Grimoire, this is the kind of deck where like you could do it.
Right.
Although I still like the Knowledge is Power plan better, but
I mean, on top of that, it being a very the V word card, it is a practice card itself. So you can find it with practice makes perfect.
And then you can put even more curse tokens in the back because you get to commit it and then keep it. So yeah, I mean, in my mana deck, I'm playing like one of these, one Prophecy, and one Inquiring Minds. And it's sort of like that's 3 high wild icon cards, 2 of which are like only for situational cases, and this one is like you can use it all the time, but you're a little bit worried because maybe you care about the curse tokens. But I think this is the best of those 3 cards.
Yeah, no, I like this card a lot, and I'm very excited to play even just as a one of in any given secret deck. I think it's very, very good.
I also we can call it pop because that's the abbreviation. So it's it's pretty you can pop off,
or go pop. You have 2 of them.
Let's move on to the last class and talk about the first Survivor card.
The Survivor cards, hooray! So the first card is Token of Faith. It is a 2-cost asset. It is commits for 1 intellect. And it is an item and a charm. Triggered ability after a skill test ends in which 1 or more cursed or auto-fail tokens were revealed. Exhaust Token of Faith. Add that many blessed tokens to the Chaos bag. And it takes up your accessory slot. Very cool art. I like this art a lot.
This guy's just straight up making out with his necklace.
But also the shadow is creepy. I love it when they do that. They did that in it's another Survivor card.
I'm always a fan of when the shadows
a picture of some lady and I can't remember.
And they do it in a lot of cards, but I always like it when they do like the shadows are like the spooky thing.
Is this not Rex?
No, I thought that was Rex.
I thought it was Rex, and he's just like
I mean, I have the joke was he's so unlucky he has like a token from like every different faith, and he's just like trying to say like, I got everything. I should be covered by everything here.
It's like, Vishnu, save me.
Yeah, that's actually very funny. In reality, though, this is one of the cards that I'm least excited about playing. Again, unless you're doing the a billion curse tokens in the bag.
Yeah, I guess if you're constantly adding curse tokens, it should be noted that this is after the skill test ends. It's not a skill test you're doing or a skill test at your location. It's just any skill test, which does make it a lot more useful multiplayer. So like if somebody's adding curse tokens, you'll eventually draw them. So switching it to a blessed token is fine, I guess. But we always talked about like blessed tokens by themselves don't really do much. So you have to be comboing it with other stuff that benefits from having blessed tokens.
It's also, Captain Farnes mentions, like they do in The Mummy, obviously we can't pass up a reference to The Mummy, 1999.
That is very true.
It's like Benny from The Mummy. He meets the mummy and he's just like holding up random trinkets trying to find one that will work, and eventually he does. So, no, I mean, the way that I think about this is, okay, so this is an accessory slot item, and it triggers if I drew a curse or a tentacle token, probably I failed. If I drew a tentacle, I definitely failed. If this was a rabbit's foot, I would get to draw a card. I would rather have a card than 2 blessed tokens, or 1 or however many blessed tokens.
1 blessed token.
Right? So like, I mean, if you're in a deck that really, really, really wants blessed tokens, or that expects to see a lot of curse tokens, I mean, it would have to be really, really a special situation to just be better than rabbit's foot, right? Because rabbit's foot's great.
Yeah. You have to basically go into it knowing that you're curse token, on. and then you get 4 blessed tokens.
Which is not how it works. You either draw like bless +1, or you get like a curse token that just barely pushes you below. Like that's usually how it works.
Thank you. Kraken knew the card that I was talking about. Oh, yeah. Sharp Vision is the one that I was talking about. It's got the lady and then the creepy thing behind her. Yeah, no, I mean I'm excited for maybe an upgraded version of this that does cooler things, but the payoff, I just think, is not there for me.
Yep.
Yeah, it doesn't seem exciting by itself.
Let's just move on.
Yeah. So next card is Keep Faith. It is a cost 2 Survivor event. Level 0, like everything else has been. Willpower, 1 willpower icon. It is Fortune and Blessed. It means Rex can't play it. Fast, play during any free trigger window. Add 4 blessed tokens to the chaos bag.
This card has the numbers for me. This is the card that I'm basically like benchmarking and then rating every card that adds blessed tokens to. This is like, this adds for me, like it's the best way to get as many blessed tokens in the bag for as little cost. Costs 2, but it's fast. I feel like if this wasn't fast or this costed any more, I would not play it. But the fact that it is fast and you can play it literally anywhere, like before skill test or whatever, I'm throwing as many tokens in the bag as possible. You can get it back with Resourceful pretty easily. Keep pumping the bag full of blessed tokens. I played this in my Tony Morgan deck. I was playing Survivor Tony because I really wanted to try it out. And it was very fun. I don't know. It kind of helped. I think that, again, we're not like trying to scoop into the bag where you're not going to be passing or failing by a large amount anyway, but I'm doing it because I feel like Succeed by decks might be better with like comboing them with Blessed Token builds, because you're going to get value out of the Blessed Tokens either way, whether or not you pull Bless, 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 and then a +1. It's like, great, I succeeded by 5, I get to do 1 billion damage with a shotgun. You know, like that kind of thing.
I agree that this is the most efficient and consistent way we've seen yet to add tokens that don't do anything to the bag.
Rex can't take it.
Yep, that he can't. That's true.
I'm upset about this card because I'm 97% sure that is Sister Mary in the art, and she cannot take this.
She can't take it.
Without using a card which must not be spoken of.
It's
so that's me.
So Dane, let's look at the case you mentioned where you're playing Tony. So you want to succeed by a lot. Wouldn't like Daring Maneuver be better than this? Probably.
No, because Daring Maneuver only works on you. Adding Blessed Tokens, you know, it adds them to the bag for anybody.
Yeah, okay, but so adding Blessed Tokens, I think we mostly agree, is not a good way to help people pass tests. It's maybe a way to help people either pass tests or succeed by more. Like, because a lot of times that's the reason they're not great for passing tests, is a lot of times you draw them when you don't need them, right?
Right.
So if you're Tony, maybe you want to have less tokens in the bag because it makes it more likely that you trigger succeed by effects. But there are other cards I would say that are better at that.
I mean, I'm just trying it out because it's gotten like Lucky Cigarette Case to pop off on times when I otherwise wouldn't have gotten it to pop off. It's gotten my Mausers to stand back up on times where they might not have stood back up and get the resource. Like, I think that I'm definitely very interested in a build that uses both Blessed Tokens and Succeed by things, because like mathematically I feel like it is beneficial either way. And like having Sawed Off Shotgun and committing cards is great, but committing cards and also having Blessed Tokens to hopefully get pulled at the right time and get committed to tests and do crazy amounts of damage is even better.
I agree. I agree that's a cool idea, and I'm excited to see if we get more cards that play into that theme this cycle. Then I'm excited to revisit it.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that again, this is just the card that I felt kind of a deck because it's fast and because it doesn't use that many resources itself. So like this is the card where I basically like keep faith at the beginning of my turn. I'm gonna like resourceful it later, just shooting some guy and then pull it back and then do it again.
Don't resourceful
and like
this, Dane, please resourceful something better.
It's been good so far.
Please
honestly.
resourceful a good card. Like,
I mean, I've been resourcefuling Lucky. I've been resourcefuling like Stunning Blows and Sharp Visions and what's the punch one, the barroom one? I can never remember the name of.
And you'd want to prefer to resourceful this over those?
No, but like I can is the thing. Like it's kind of a fine target for us, and it's been pretty all right. I'm using honestly just test. Yeah, brute force. Thank you. I'm just testing it and seeing if it's actually pretty reasonable and so.
Well, we appreciate. We thank you for your service. We appreciate it very much. Let's move on and do the next card though. So we have Predestined. So this is a survivor skill as no icons. What? Max 1 committed per skill test. You may commit predestined to any type of test. If this test fails, either add 2 blessed tokens to the chaos bag or remove 2 curse tokens from the chaos bag. Dane, are you excited to play this and then resourceful to get it back and play it again, and then scrounge for supplies to get it back and play it again?
No, because this is the Take Heart of this set. And if anybody knows, Take Heart is the survivor equivalent of Seal of the Elder Sign. Without spending 5 experience, you will always pass the test that you commit Take Heart to. It is, and this is the exact same thing. I had one of these in the beginning just to test it.
Oh, no.
And the test that I committed it to, guess what? I got a +1, and then it didn't do anything. So I immediately took it out, and I was like, I'm not going to fall.
This is like Take Heart.
Not today.
Take Heart is like a tricky card because it can just completely whiff. This is like, what if Take Heart, even if it worked, didn't do anything?
Exactly. See, so this is the thing, because like if this were like the numbers that Take Heart gave, like if this were like add 4 blessed tokens or remove 4 curse tokens,
it should just be both.
Those are the numbers that you need.
It should be instead of either add 2 blessed or remove 2 curse. It should say both. It would still be unplayable. Yeah. But it's...
But sure, I think that's the power that it needs to have in order to make like a dent on a chaos bag and the math that is required.
I do really like the art. I love space stuff. I love planets. I'm very pro planet. I like the alignment of the planets. It's like a spiral. Very cool. This is really bad, I think.
This is yet another playmat candidate that they'll never make another playmat for. It doesn't have Santa Claus on it.
This is one of the art cards if you ordered from FFG directly or Asmodee.
Yeah, they've been printing the art as art cards for pre-order bonuses or whatever, but those have no use to me. I can't play cards on top of those.
If they make a full art promo of this, and I hope they don't, I will play it just to use the super amazing looking full art promo. But I hope they pick a better card.
That's the biggest boon for this card, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe someday it'll be made into a. Please don't.
Yeah, please. Yeah. What's a card that everyone needs more copies of that we'd like that also has good art? What would we like to see?
Honestly, anything else.
Or a card with bad art that we'd like to see.
Sword Cane.
Sword Cane with like a jacked old man just like totally stabbing some fish monster in the face with it. That would be cool. I'd be into that. Let's just move right on to the very final card though.
So the final player card is a neutral. It's called Tempt Fate.
Sorry.
Oh, you skipped one.
Oops, I forgot there was a neutral card. There's actually
a neutral card. Yes.
There's one more survival card. Then there's a neutral card. So, and Dane is reading this.
Yeah. Beloved is the second to last card. It is a survivor skill card. It commits for 1 will, 1 agility, and 1 wild. It is an innate and a blessed. And if a blessed token is revealed during this test, you may remove Beloved from the game to replace that token's effects with the following. You automatically succeed. Do not reveal another token. Return this token to the chaos bag after this test ends. Love is perhaps the strongest spell of all, even though this is not a spell card. So do we have a level 0 card that just like automatic auto succeeds?
Will to survive. Well, not on. I mean, if you don't reveal a token, so probably it does.
Yeah. But like this is a very powerful effect, and it's got relevant symbols for like, for committing like during a mythos phase or for dodging something. Like it's a very protective card, which is nice.
Yeah, it's like a defensive card, right? Agility and willpower often defensive against treacheries or sometimes like evading stuff.
Yeah, like that's really the only argument for this is that it's like almost a courage depending on what stats you expect to use the most, which might help you succeed on a Hail Mary test even if you have enough blessed tokens in the bag.
And what about for like Agnes? Just as even without the blessed part, it functions as both a guts and a manual dex. I mean, so I guess like as Agnes, you're assuming you're never going to use combat and intellect, but a lot of times you do end up committing a courage to somebody. Like, oh, there's a really hard combat test someone needs to do here. Have a courage, I mean, I guess this is still one symbol in those use cases, but like you commit this to a test you want to succeed on. Thing is, because you're committing 2 symbols to something probably, then that very likely gets your skill up high enough where you're going to succeed on most tokens anyway. So drawing a blessed token to make you auto succeed doesn't really help very much. It does make it so that if you draw a blessed token, you can't blessed token into an auto fail because it replaces the token's effects, which include the redraw.
and you don't get rid of the token; it stays in the bag. So if you if you already have a lot of blessed tokens in the bag, this helps you like keep them there. Maybe
The issue is that this removes itself from game, and Sultry Harlow was talking in the chat about actually it goes away forever.
Although also if you play it as I was gonna say, if you play it with like grotesque statue or something, so you're like revealing multiple tokens, maybe you have like a higher chance of. But if you're using grotesque statue, you're probably gonna pass. So
Exactly, yeah. It's a tough call. I think that there is a pocket case for it. Like, if again there's scenarios, or if you're with Sister Mary and there's gonna be a lot of blessings. I don't think we have enough data on the set, like on the full set, to figure out if there's gonna be enough things that generate blessed tokens or that generate curse tokens or whatever to grade these cards on a scale in which is like very objective right now. I think that right now this card is just kind of not great. There's cards that do what it does better.
Yeah, I think because of the fact that it has good icons on it, it is not as bad as it seems. Like if you're just looking at the text, it seems quite bad to me. But the fact that it is already almost like a guts that doesn't draw you a card or manual dexterity that doesn't draw you a card is like, if I was really committing hard to blessed tokens, like I would never play Predestined ever, but like if I was really playing in a group where I thought there were going to be a ton of blessed tokens, I might play this.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, maybe there's some kind of fun synergy you can do where like everybody's doing stuff that adds blessed tokens, so you just always have like 8 to 10 in the bag all the time, even when you draw 3 of them and then a 0.
That would be tough, but like if you can do that somehow, then this would be a decent card.
Yeah. I think we got to see the full. Like at the end of the cycle, I think we're definitely going to come back and reevaluate. It's like, is doing blessed stuff or curse stuff worth it?
Yeah.
And if it is worth it, then maybe this will be in there. But if it's not, it's like,
yeah. We'll definitely that'll be a fun decision to resolve when we do our like wrap up show after Innsmouth is out and everything. Unless there have been 3 or 4 other global crises between now and then, and we're all living in a ditch or something.
It is like 8 months in the future. That's a lot of time.
On that happy note, let's move on to the real last card, the only neutral card.
Yeah, so this is Tempt Fate. It is a level 0, cost 0 event with 1 wild icon on it. It is blessed, fortune, and cursed. Fast, play during any free trigger window. Add 3 curse tokens to the chaos bag, then add 3 blessed tokens to the chaos bag and draw 1 card. It's got some fun art on it.
This art, man.
I like the mushrooms in the corner as a fun little kind of a hint of how to see vistas like this in real life if you want to.
If you want blessed or curse tokens in the bag, I guess use this. But does it do anything by itself? It just replaces itself.
Anytime you have something that's like instant speed and does something, I think at least a little bit about having it in some ridiculous combo.
Yeah, exactly. I think that these are the kinds of cards to be like, but this is like, if there's going to be a build that uses either blessed and or cursed tokens, these are the kinds of cards that we need to pump tokens into the bag to get those things to work. And we don't have the full picture, but anybody can play this card.
You have the full picture. You play Tempt Fate, then you play Tides of Fate, then you play Rite of Sanctification.
Step 1, Step 2, Step 3, Step 4.
But for real though, so okay, we've been talking about like, what if you could make a deck? What if you really wanted there to be lots of these tokens in the bag? If I'm playing Mandy or a similar deck and I'm just cycling my deck every other turn, I mean, if I put 2 of these in, I'm just gonna play like at least 1 of these every turn, and you're gonna have a lot of these tokens.
Yeah.
Right. So like that's a way that if you're playing that kind of ridiculous secret deck that draws a million cards, this is just so smooth because you draw it, you immediately play it, it replaces itself, doesn't cost you anything, you can have a ton of Blessed and Curse tokens if you put this in that type of deck. I'm not sure why you'd want to, but you could.
Well, here's the thing. Like I was mentioning, like things that get to your payoff the fastest, right? Like, so that example that we were using with Rite of Sanctification, if you take 2 of these in Sister Mary, you end up with 2 of these and a Rite of Sanctification in your opening hand. Yes. And then you fire off your first turn as playing 2 of these, and then you play Rite of Sanctification, and then you have nothing else useful in your hand. Good job.
Because this replaces itself. But also,
that's right.
But also, you've added. So we've been joking that these Blessed and Curse tokens don't do much. But if you add 6 of each to the bag, then you've like changed the math enough that it like maybe
exactly,
it starts to matter
so then you
so.
have a fully stocked Rite of Sanctification ready for friends to use, whatever. But also you've got 6 curse tokens in the bag.
Well, so then someone needs to play the bad rogue card that seals 5 of those. So
yes.
Or you could just not play any of these cards. That's also an option that you could consider. Anything else to say about Tempt Fate?
No, the art is the best card about this card.
This is
notably
very cool.
You have to be able to add 3 curse tokens in order to be able to play this.
Is that how that works? So
it's a then clause, so you need to be able to do the first part.
Annoying. It should just say add 3 blessed tokens and 3 curse tokens.
I know. So is that actually technically take out the curse tokens, dump them in the bag, shake it up, and then open the bag again, and then dump in 3 blessed tokens and then shake it up?
No, there's no reason to do that because you can't. Maybe if there's a trigger that's off of. It's still all simultaneous. It's just you have to do the curse. You have to be able to add the 3 curse tokens.
All right, let's. Okay, so that's the end of the player cards. Let's talk about the basic weaknesses really quickly. I'm sure you're going to be shocked to hear that they involve bless and curse tokens. So.
Gasp.
So here's our first basic weakness. It's a cursed follower. It's an enemy with 2 combat, 2 health, and 2 agility. It's a humanoid, cultist, and cursed. Spawn location farthest from you. Aloof. Forced at the end of the enemy phase. Add 1 curse token to the chaos bag, and it hits for a damage and a horror. And it's holding up a heart, Temple of Doom style with a red robe. Pretty cool art.
I would take this over a lot of weaknesses.
I would take this over almost every basic weakness.
Yeah, exactly. Like
this is amazing.
This is almost indebted levels.
You're going to put 1 token that does like nothing, and depending on what type of weird ass deck you're playing, might actually be good. In the token every just completely ignore this. Compare this to this is great.
It seems pretty good. It could become annoying in some scenario where it's like you have to add Doom to the nearest cultist and you've killed everything else, and this is
that's fair.
That's a good point.
I'm ready for the dream of because this came with 2 copies. This one had 2 copies in the bag, in the box. I'm ready for the dream of playing Zoe and Tony. Both of them draw this.
Oh yes.
They draw the regular weaknesses, and there's 1 location with a bunch of enemies on it. And you know what card both Zoe and Tony could play?
What's that, Ben?
Dynamite.
Or you could leave them alive and let them help you solve the Cryptic Grimoire. Just saying that's a thing you could do.
The whole point is that they all spawn at the farthest location from.
Yeah.
And Tony's weakness combined with 2 of these is more than 6 health.
Which would
do you see what I'm getting at?
Yeah. Help to fight over who gets to do the dynamite and then double let God swap them out. You're right.
It is just funny because Tony's quarry is really annoying because it's aloof, it has 3 health, and it has something relevant, which is a Doom on it. And this is easier to kill, and it's aloof, but it just doesn't do anything, so you can just ignore it. So I think this is great. This is I think I'm almost always going to be very happy to draw this.
Same.
Should we move on to the next one?
Yeah.
So next card is Dread. So Dread Curse, very cool art. Basic weakness curse. Revelation, add 5 curse tokens to the chaos bag. And that's
Do not read the whole quote. Yeah, okay.
And it's
also probably fine.
Pretty okay. 5 at once is a little harder to deal with because you're probably going to bank on failing tests or needing to
make someone fail a test later.
But also, sometimes it just does nothing. Yeah, exactly. So this is the card. This is the card that you need to include in your deck.
Yeah,
you're picking Grimoire.
I think I would rather have the previous one, the Accursed Follower, than this. But this is also, I'd be very happy to draw this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think that this is on the scale of things. Obviously, this is making things work for friends too. But if if you're playing cards that allow you to succeed by a lot anyways, like you're gonna be okay. Sometimes you'll draw the 2/2, but like in that situation, you just got most of your weaknesses gone.
It's also kind of rare that there's a weakness that you could, like, if you want, consistently add cards to your deck after you get it and get a lot of benefit from it. Like, we're probably going to see more cards that, like, you get benefits from curse tokens.
Yeah, that is true.
So like there's stuff that's like indebted that's good for Dark Horse if you happen to get it, but like this you can retroactively add cards that work off the curse tokens and be like, great.
There's also kleptomania for everybody, right?
Yeah.
But no, I get what you're saying. Okay, one more weakness, and of course, believe it or not, it does not involve Bless and Curse tokens.
Yeah, it is a Day of Reckoning. It's treachery. The keyword on it is end times, which I don't. It's not really a keyword.
Appropriate, I think.
Yeah. The revelation is attach Day of Reckoning to the current agenda, then search the Chaos Bag for an Elder Sign token, as if there's more than one, and seal it on Day of Reckoning. And this was inspired by the events of Arkham Knight 2018.
Inspired by the events of the world 2020.
Well, I was asking Ben about this because this is like when they did Guardians of the Abyss at Gen Con or Invocation and Gen Con and Arkham Knights that year. They kept track of like what path most people picked, and based on that, they chose this over like another weakness that they would have put in if things.
Yeah, it was based on like the most common resolution to the second scenario, I think.
Yeah.
Oh.
I don't remember what it was. I think it's maybe people winning without allying with the bad guy.
Yeah. But
I don't know how this matches that theme. I also don't know how it matches allying with the bad guy or everybody losing more often. So I don't know. But the other two cards have been thrown in the shredder, so we can't claim that one of the ones would work any better.
So if you have short agendas, then this is completely harmless. This does like almost nothing, right?
Yeah.
If you have long agendas, like, okay, worst case scenario, suppose you have like a really long agenda and this is out for like most of the game. Removing one good token from the bag is like can be either better or worse than just everyone getting like a -1 to all their tests. But usually it's better. Like usually, yeah. I think worst case scenario, this is still not terrible.
Yeah,
it's a bummer for people that like drawing their Elder Sign. Like Jacqueline would be sad because I get to draw cards with Jacqueline constantly.
Makes the Dark Future last forever.
It makes Dark Future impossible.
But on the other hand, if you're playing Azure Flame and Clairvoyance, then
Yeah.
No, this has to be like Mateo's standard weakness, right, for the rest of forever, because like if you get to play your signature card and then this card does nothing, right?
Absolutely
Like or once your snake enemy comes out, this card does nothing. Like this is just too much fun and dumb times with Mateo. It's like kind of a fine weakness. I don't know. It depends on when it happens, but yeah.
It seems like it could, as Dan said, it could be annoying if you get like a long agenda with it and then you decide you don't sign, but it's not
the elders or whatever. Yeah,
it's not that bad. All the Forgotten Age scenarios that it's like 14 Doom or whatever.
I went to go. I looked up Seal of the Seventh Sign to see if like suppose you were Jacqueline and this is your weakness. Could you play Seal of the Seventh Sign as like another way to clear your weakness? But Seal of the Seventh Sign you can only commit to a test. You can't commit to her like check to see if the Dark Future goes away thing.
Right. Oh, you mean Seal of the Elder Sign?
Yeah. Whatever the one that makes you treat it as an Elder Sign, you can't do it. So. This is cool. I think this feels like a very like basic weakness that like you could, if you played the game, even if you were new to the game, you would maybe like imagine like, oh, what if there was a weakness that did this? And it seems cool. I kind of like it.
Yeah, it's a very simple weakness. I'm neither sad nor excited to have it because it sometimes will pop up and be horrible. Sometimes it'll be fine. If you can survive a game with a Mateo, you can survive a game with this.
Yeah, I think it's interesting.
This card.
It'll definitely be annoying, but it's not gonna like cripple you like some of the basic weaknesses can like totally wreck your day.
Mateo.
But yeah, definitely more interesting than the other two, I think.
Yeah. All right, and we've reached the end of all of the cards.
We did it. So, I mean, this is like going to be forming the base of all of the Blessed and Cursed token builds. this is going to kind of be what we have to go on for a little while. So how does everybody feel about these cards from the Innsmouth Conspiracy? We love having you guys here with us and hanging out while we review these cards. If there's anything that you guys wanted to see more of from the stream or differently, or wanted to talk about more cards, reach out to us on Facebook, Reddit, wherever you guys listen to podcasts. Check out our new Discord, or email us at comments@mur.fm. If you'd like to help support the cast, we do have a Patreon. You can consider reaching out and helping us there. Otherwise, thanks for listening, everybody, and we'll catch you guys next time.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Everybody in chat, thanks for being here. See ya.
And we're out.